You're watching WPST, St. John the Baptist Parish Public School Television. Psst, check it out.
That one deadlock side was looking at, excuse me, and then the other side was looking at. So there's two plans on the table, basically, right? If I'm correct.
Right.
And those two plans are, if you don't mind.
You know what might be better? I know the summary. Why don't we get United? Because they do a lot better job of explaining the differences in the benefits, and you'll see. The biggest thing is that on the one plan, employees could be out of pocket either $750 or $1,500 for a family plan, as compared to it's going to be the $3,000, well, $2,500 or $5,000 out of pocket for the next plan. But let the guy, you can pretty much hear the same presentation. And he can do it pretty fast.
Which is good, but I didn't know which direction.
Yeah.
Well, basically we deadlock, and I was going to ask United to present the plans, and then let the board, digest it and make a recommendation. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but apparently it looks like the board will recommendations even with the that towards the adoption of some plan for United Healthcare. Seems to be in a financially lower than the plan that was by Blue Cross. So I would feel that the board, again, I am a board member that would leaning towards bringing United, just a matter of which plan.
But, and just to clarify some things, the board, the two options that the board looked at were from United, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, okay.
Yes, sir.
So with that, basically we're going to deal with those numbers.
Because of the fact that
they were fiscally responsible.
They were better. They were better than Blue Cross.
That's
simple.
I don't want to let's let the guy from United basically.
Fair enough.
I want to tell you one more thing. We looked at, I think they gave us like 27 plan designs, and we narrowed it down to 2. It's the best we could do.
Okay.
All right.
And the committee narrowed it down to 2. Right. The committee narrowed it. The committee narrowed it down to 2 out of 27. Fair enough. Okay.
All right. Introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Joseph Acapinti. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for the Gulf States Health Plan with United Healthcare. So that's for Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. And I did bring, because you do have several materials in front of you, I did bring the final copy of those plan design options. So if that's okay, I'll just hand those out to the board. Okay, absolutely.
I'll tell you what, you keep talking and I'll distribute it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You're right, Patrick. We'll move on. Go. And we'll share that to the press too.
Yeah, I have an extra copy as well. So as we were referenced to Monday's insurance committee meeting, you'll see the sheet in front of you just to quickly level set. The first plan to the left of the document, you see up at the top, it says Choice Plus. That plan is called 7ECP. Okay, that is the benefit that we quoted for the board for the parish that was identical to the benefits that you had with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
We're short 2 copies of that, please.
Yeah.
3 copies.
I can get another one, but I need this
right.
one for now, if that's okay.
I think, is it significantly different?
We'll give this
All right.
later.
I was going to say, is it significantly different from this?
Pretty much the same, but let me go through those. Okay, thanks.
Is it significantly different from this, which is already here?
Shouldn't be, no.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So again, the 7ECP plan was the current benefit match that we had provided a price for. As you heard earlier before myself, that came in at 10.4% over what you had. On Monday, the committee voted for Plan 7NMP, okay, which you see, it's the second plan over, going from left to right. That's with the $750 employee only deductible, $1,000 or $1,500 family deductible. The second plan that was discussed on Monday was 7M6J. So skip over that plan that says 7EY. The 7EY plan was discussed, but it wasn't one of the two that were voted on. Okay? So when you look at those two plans, I'll just kind of give you the quick background and the differences of those. As it relates to United Healthcare, we have a good offering to cover, I think, what you're familiar with from your plans that you had today with Blue Cross Blue Shield. You had 3 different plans, and then you had an HSA plan. Those 3 different plans were put forth to cover the residents of Louisiana.
Before you go any further, if you would, sir, please don't use jargon and abbreviations. What is an HSA plan?
Health Savings Account.
We need to have those things explained because people are also watching on television.
Absolutely. So we have a plan where we had the Health Maintenance Organization, or HMO, product that you had offered for the Louisiana residents. Your second plan that you have today were for West Bank residents because the Health Maintenance Organization plan didn't cover Thibodeau Regional. Okay, so you had a second plan. And then your third plan with Blue Cross Blue Shield was covered with your retirees. And then your Health Savings Account, put that all together, that's the benefit option you had today. What we were able to do was take those 3 plans, okay, and offer one plan which covered, again, your HMO population, had your West Bank residents, and your retirees all into one plan. All right, and we also have all the way to the right, whatever plan you pick, whether it be the 7NM or the 7M6J, that will come in conjunction with that plan all the way to the right that says Choice Plus Health Savings Account. Okay, the differences between the 2 plans: the 7NMP does have a higher deductible for the employee at $750. Versus the 7M6J has a $500 deductible per employee. The 7NM plan has a $1,500 family deductible. Your 7M6J has a $1,000 family deductible. Okay, so a difference of $250 for an employee only, a difference of $500 for a family. The next difference is your out-of-pocket max. So if you actually, let me just jump back to, you see the line on the document that you have from myself, coinsurance. So what that means, coinsurance, is once you hit your deductible, okay, so in the case of 7MP, once you pay $750 out of pocket to hit your deductible, coinsurance, okay, applies. In this case, you have a very rich plan in 7MP because there is no coinsurance. It's covered at 100%. Everything is covered at 100%. On the 7M6J, once you hit your deductible of $500 for an individual, we have 80-20 coinsurance. And what that means is that the employee or member on the school board that has this will pay 20% of all costs. Okay, 80% will be paid from the plan or United Healthcare. Now, so that does apply cost sharing, a little bit more cost sharing. The 7M6J applies cost sharing. Let me talk about the out-of-pocket max. That's the next item of a difference. So on the 7NM plan, the out-of-pocket max, the maximum that employee could spend is $750. Okay, that's their annual out-of-pocket max. On the 7M6J plan, the maximum that individual could pay is $2,500. So they would pay their $500 deductible. Once they hit that, they would pay 20% coinsurance on every part that equals up to $2,500. Once they hit $25, that's their maximum exposure, and then the plan, United Healthcare, pays everything. So you can see that 7M6J is certainly a viable plan, but you definitely have a bit more of a rich benefit on the 7MJ plan. The only other difference that I would call out is that for the office visit on the 7NP, or office visit meaning copay, you have a $25 primary care payment and a $50 specialist copay for 7NM. On your 7M6 plan, you have a straight $35 copay whether you see the primary care or the specialist. And again, these are two benefits that both come with your in-network benefits that I just went through, and they also include out-of-network benefits, which if you go down on the spreadsheet that I provided to you, you go halfway down, you'll see out-of-network, and you can see that there is a separate deductible for out-of-network benefits, and there is also a separate co-insurance and also a separate out-of-pocket max. But as through our analysis and reviewing your characteristics, again, all of the facilities, your top providers, your top physicians, your top hospitals, East Jefferson Hospital, Thibodeau, those are all in-network providers with United Healthcare. So I'll stop with that. If you have questions or you want me to go into details on any of the other pieces that are on the benefit, I can do that. Yes.
A couple of things. First of all, in the presentation that was given to the committee last week, and I'm not on the committee, but I was here for both of the meetings. Sure. You have an entire category in this presentation that I don't see on here called home/office/outpatient care. Mm-hmm. And it covers everything from just your basic low-tech X-ray to CT scans and MRAs and PET scans and the like. One of the questions that I raised earlier, I want to raise again so sure. People understand it, because under the 7M6 plan, if I were to go to get an MRI, I'd have to pay 20% of the cost. That is correct? That is correct. Under the other plan, I'd pay nothing. What percentage of most groups like this ever have to use that type of specialist or specialized diagnostic care? Yeah. So primarily what you're asking is what how big a problem out of a population, is that? Right? Or how much do we have as diagnostic tests? So colonoscopy as such, and as an industry, you can see 15 to 20%. Probably a little bit lower than 15 in some of the other school boards that we've seen as a like plan. That was the impression I got. So roughly 1 out of 10 to 1.5 out of 10, right? Getting that diagnostic test. Okay. Yep. Yep. And just to clarify, so what we're saying on that is for the 7M6, the difference is that would pay 80% on a colonoscopy, if you will, so that being $1,000 after the deductible, right? That's just a generalization of what that amount would be. I don't know exactly what that would cost, but then that would be 80% after the deductible. But my point is that relatively few people ever need a service like that. Right. There are certain criterias that we follow through evidence-based medicine, and in that case, colonoscopy would hit, someone at an age of a certain stature, certain risk, and then you would be required to take that test. That's correct. It looks to me in the out-of-network 3 categories that the 7M6 is actually a much better plan, even though it's less expensive for people to subscribe to this plan. Is that correct? Well, what I would state the difference between the plan, the 7M6 definitely provides a increased level of some of the cost share. Okay, so the 7NM is absolutely Excuse me, what does that mean? It's a rich plan where after you hit the deductible, okay, on the 7NM, it's kind of getting into the bonus round. There is no cost sharing whatsoever to the member at that point. You hit the deductible, and they could utilize the benefit at
no cost to themselves.
So the lowest priced of all the ones that's listed on here actually has a better deal when it comes to the out-of-network services.
Well, the out of network, it's a lower deductible for individual and family. The point I was just trying to make was that the 7M6 is also a very good plan because it has for the in-network side, it has an out-of-pocket max that you're going to hit. So everyone knows their exposure going in. You still get the breadth of the network, the breadth of our discounts, the breadth of our services. But what it does is after the member hits their deductible, they're still going to be engaged because they'll still have to pay that 20% coinsurance until they hit the annual pocket max.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. Question. You mentioned, say, the two hospitals that are United, Thibodeau, and East Jeff, but River Parishes. The local hospital?
Yes.
River Parishes
is in network. That's correct.
Okay. And when you first talk about the original proposal, last plan, 7FK, is that additional? Do we have to pay for it, or is that included in the other three plans?
Yeah, that no matter what plan you pick tonight, whether it be the 7NM or the 7M6, that will also come with the health savings account because you do have a small amount of population that's in the health savings account. So it would come with that plan that says modified 7FK.
Okay. Would it be additional, or there's no additional cost?
Oh no, it's part of the cost. So when we did the analysis and we were talking about how the options, you can see if you look at the spreadsheet that I had provided to you just a few minutes ago. So let's look at 7M6. If you go down to the very bottom, you'll see that the annual premium for 7M6 is $8,017,627.32. And then you add in the HSA cost is $129,829.20. Those total costs will be $8,147,456.52. And again, that total cost is going to be a decrease of your current costs by about 3.42%.
But none of these will cost our members extra. I'm sorry.
Let's others talk. Sanders.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Burrow, you finished? Mr. Burrow, Sanders.
Just a couple of questions.
Sure.
It's all right.
Buy up, buy down, possibly for employees. May want to go with the 7NM, and I don't know if that's a question for you or a question for our administration. Possible that the employee would pay share the cost there, share the bulk of the cost if they choose to go with the 7NM plan. Is that a possibility with your company?
What we want to do, what we have priced, is the selection of one of the core plans with also the HSA.
No options.
Well, the option would be if they want to buy down, they would have the health savings account.
They would go with the health savings.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Question for administration. Mr. Bowden. If possible, the board chooses the 7M6 plan, which is a savings of I don't remember what the number is.
288 or something like that.
Yeah, about 288,000. Is there a possibility we can take that money and put into escrow into a health savings account for future risk of increase of health insurance?
It's a possibility, but I think when we're going to start drafting next year's budget, you're going to see where we need that. But it's a possibility.
I'm saying that, yeah, we possibly will need it because of an increase, but I'm saying to put it in a savings account to utilize it for that purpose versus putting it back into the general fund and utilizing it, and then we're sitting at the table arguing about what the cost is next year. Somewhat escrowing that money.
No, we can't. I mean, it's a possibility.
Because basically it's a savings of what we're going to pay originally. Is it possible for us to escrow that money?
It's possible.
Can we?
Yes, we can. But what I'm saying is when we draft next year's budget, if if you have 300,000 we escrowing and the board needs 300,000 to balance out, you may not want to do it, but yeah, we can put it on the table for sure.
Health insurance is going to exist next year as well.
I understand. You can't do it though. I mean, yeah, it could be an option when we draft in the budget. We can draft it. Okay, we escrow this 300,000. These are the cuts you have to make because you're gonna have to make cuts next year. If we don't escrow the 300, this is what we have to do. Yes, we can do that.
I'll come back. Let's let the others in.
Sure.
Second. Marco,
Yeah,
and then Trish.
I'm a little confused with the last part, the chart, HSA. Would you briefly explain that again? Yeah, got your name, sir.
No, that's okay, Joe. That's fine. Yeah, the health savings account is a consumer-directed product, which is considered to be a high-deductible health plan. Okay, and what it does is it allows the member, okay, to pay a lower cost, a lower premium, and what they do is they have a higher deductible. And the health savings account, or we say HSA, that's a financial account that's hooked to the medical plan where that member can contribute tax-deferred dollars to save in their own account and get interest on it and save it for potential medical costs. They don't have to use it that plan year. They can almost use it as an investment where they could, if they don't use it for medical costs, they could save it until retirement. So that's different than the core plan that you have. The 7M6 is a core medical product. Yep.
All right, Trish.
Some of the after deduction, 80% is of normal hospital costs or
It's after the negotiated rate that we have with the hospital or physician.
perfect savings.
It's exactly, that's why we're able to negotiate such rates with the breadth of our network. Yep. Yep.
Jones.
Yes, sir. Quick comment. It's a comment, really. And we're going to make a decision on this one way or the other. We're going to make a decision on Part B also. That is. But I'd just like to make a comment to the chair and the board as it relates to this decision or any other decision. If any committee is deadlocked, I would like to refer to the executive because, I mean, we're spending a lot of time on this and I think we have to make a rush decision on this. This affects X amount of employees. So I think the executive committee in the future should step in on this and give us some kind of recommendation because we're sitting here, we still need to make a decision. So just, point of reference for the future. This needs to be kicked in.
Something consider the next president could serve.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Question.
Oh, hold on. Mr. Bynes, nobody first. First round.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
I
Jack.
think Bowden come up because I was at the insurance committee, and I think he should be explained is how we came to no decision. Mr. Bowden, could you explain?
Well, I mean, obviously the one that the employees wanted is the plan that has a 1.96% increase. I mean, and I don't blame them. They are out to get the best wages, benefits, and working conditions that they can get for the employees. But that one does come.
Did you report to get
I don't remember.
Cadillac
plan. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a rich plan.
right.
You're not even saying.
Now, could you explain why recommend?
Right. And I pretty much summarize it in the letter that you should have gotten yesterday. I just don't want the board to make a decision, knowingly increasing the cost, knowing what's coming next fiscal year. And I know we have some significant challenges ahead of us. There's a possibility of losing MFP money. That is a possibility. It's not in writing yet. But we do know that we lost EduJobs funding. We are losing the American Recovery Act funding. We're in the last of 2 years. That's like 1.8 million. We know we're going to have 1.3 million more in retirement costs. We know we have to reinstate the 4 furlough days next fiscal year. That's a $940,000 cost. If you look at the sales tax reports every month, you know how bad sales tax is. And my point to the committee was, and to you, is that you know these costs are coming in the future. I think we need to do everything we can to control what we can. We can't control it. We got to pay more retirement costs, but we can control somewhat how much health costs we have. And that's why it's my recommendation as a finance person to pick the plan that saves the board the most money.
Okay. So now you want us to pretty much, you're already going to be suffering from a deficit next year. We're
going to head it off by making cuts.
So now you want to cut them off at the insurance too? So are they going to start suffering when they go to the hospital? Don't you think they're going to have to re-incur those costs when they have to pay those out-of-pocket expenses?
It is not as rich of a plan. Yes, they will have employee and retirees will have more out-of-pocket costs. That's correct.
Mr. LeBlanc, I have a question. The last plan we have, Choice Plus, the health savings account?
Yeah, I know. Mr. Burrow, we're trying to get good people in order, and I think you really have Mr. Wise, have Mr. Jones. I'm glad you had pen up. Go ahead, Mr. Wise.
Well, if we're going to get into discussion, and I have no problem with that, as opposed to just asking questions, can I make a motion?
Yes, sir. You have motions in order.
And I move that the school board accept the plan designated 7M6-J as our health plan for the coming year.
So
That's seconded in motion. Second one, Mr. Trish. I'll open this up for public participation. Step up. Identify yourself.
My name is Jackson. I'm from St. John Parish. Listening at the insurance is saying what's going on with the different types of insurance. And I heard Mr. Wise say something, but we're not using colonoscopy as much. You may not use it, but it's being used. Because I have to go every 5 years. Some people have to go every 3 years that I know of. And I'm a very sick person. I'm a dialysis patient. And I look out for myself as far as insurance. And if you put all this cost of pocket, you think I can afford it with the money I make? No way in the world. No way in the world I can make it. And I've been on dialysis, off of dollars, since 1990. But I get checkup every 3 months. I have to take a lot of blood work every 3 months. And a cost like that of out of pocket and the money I make, I wouldn't be able to live. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Breen. Any other public participation? Hold on a second. I'm at public participation. Mr. Burrow, recognize you.
Yes, Mr. LeBlanc. On the health savings account, looking at it, we have about 722 people enrolled in the other accounts, but only in that account we have 11. Can we require those 11 to enroll in one program that we offer?
Really can't answer that question now. What you're actually asking.
The reason why I'm asking, I'm saying, looking at it, it's going to cost us, whatever plan we get, $129,000 extra. If we require those 11 people.
5,000. This plan, which plan you talking about?
No, I know what I'm talking about. The health savings account is going to cost whatever plan we choose, $129,000 extra.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to find out, can we require those 11 people in the health savings account to get a universal plan, everyone get the same plan, and that would save us. If we get the first plan, we would be pretty much paying the same amount or close to it that we're paying right now with Blue Cross. So I want to know, can we require those 11 people to get a universal plan, the one plan that we offer by the school board?
20.
No.
Yes, you can require that. You don't have to offer the HSA, but if to do what you want to do would cost more money. In other words, instead of 11 people paying the total premium, okay, $381.82, You can have 11 people paying 407, so it would cost the plan more money if you move them in there. You offer the HSA, the health savings account, as an option if someone wants to pay a little bit less premium, but pay more of a deductible. So we don't have to offer, I don't think there's any legal requirement that we have to offer a health savings account. You can do what you're doing, but I understand what you're thinking, but you're gonna actually pay more because you're gonna make them go into a plan where the premium is more per month.
All right, Mr. Wise, basically, was the motion maker. You may speak, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I need to clear something up. Ms. Jackson, Ms. Marie, I think you misunderstood my question. Or my question was not a comment, it was a question. And the point to the 10 to 15% I was talking about was that very few people need to use that kind of a service. 85% to 90% of our employees do not. I'm not saying nobody needs it. What I'm trying to do is find out from these folks how we can best do two things: provide the medical coverage that our employees need, and there are many members of this board up here who are also on this plan, including me. And at the same time, make sure that we keep as much money of our dwindling income that we can aimed at educating our children, because that's why we're here. We're going to have less and less money for the next 2 or 3 years. The first plan that was presented to us, 7NMP, will increase what we're paying from this year. We can't afford it. We aren't going to have that money. It's that simple. We cannot increase anything that we're spending, because every time we increase it, we eliminate somebody's job. That is pretty much the only option we're going to have to balance our budget next year. Now, we had this discussion 2 times during the last 2 meetings at the Insurance Committee. Mr. Bowden, review for me real quick. How much more would this 7NM plan cost, and how many jobs would that affect? How many jobs would that eliminate?
The 1.96% increase is 168,000 more.
Okay.
The average job with benefits about 40,000, about four employees.
So we'd have to cut 4 people. We'd have to fire 4 people to provide this service. Now, I don't want to be the one that says this one or that one or somebody else has to go because we want to keep the same health plan. We have no choice except to reduce the costs that we're incurring every year. And this is a big chunk of it. The difference, and Mr. Trish pointed this out very, very well at the last committee meeting. The difference between one plan and the other is not $129,000 or is not $200,000. It is almost a $500,000 difference between the two.
Mr. Trish.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you, sir?
Yes.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thank you. And yep, and slap my wrist. You're exactly right. It was you, Dr.
Just tip your mouth, and that'll be fine.
It was you. Indeed, it was. All right. Well,
got my stroke.
He's gonna need that health insurance in a little while, huh?
But there's a $500,000 difference between the cost of these 2 plans. One increases significantly, one decreases significantly. Now, the difference between these, and this kind of goes to what you gentlemen were asking, this health insurance plan, the health insurance account, lets people, it's a savings account before you pay your federal income taxes. It is taken out of your pay, if you want to do it, before you pay taxes. Now, most savings accounts, you have to pay taxes first before you go into the bank, whatever the case may be. So you actually make money in that deal, and Uncle Sam loses money. And you can use that to make up the difference when you got to pay this 20% on some of these things. This second plan is a win-win. It gives us more money to spend on kids. The relatively few people that would have to go beyond and pay these 20% or 10% after the deductible can make up that difference through these savings plans. But it's the only way that we are going to be able to meet our obligations next year. Can't spend more than we got. And we're going to have to cut, and this has to be one of the places we have to cut.
Mr. Jack, you can, on next, please.
Well,
but I have one question. Is Austin, I had a question for Ms. Austin, this plan? Austin? Yeah.
I'd just like to say, I understand that the board is in trouble. Everybody knows that Mr. Wise, with all due respect, a couple of weeks ago, discussing something, when he said, spending $25,000, something different. It was a drop in the bucket. But anyway, I'm just looking at it from, just trying to look at it from every point of view. And we do have support, and that's why I kind of looked at 7NMP, because when you're making a certain amount of money and you're offering one plan that after you pay $750 or $1,500, the insurance will be responsible for 100%, and another plan is responsible for 80%, and at 20%, those people struggling to pay, like you said, then we're looking at bad credit. Those people can't afford to pay it, that still work for the system, which is why I was supporting 7NMP. And I just think that, you know, if we're going to look at costs, we should look at costs all the time, not sometime, and we should look at costs for the employees for the system, because those same employees have children in this system, those support workers. So that's why I wanted to make a substitute motion that 7NP instead of 7MP.
Substitute motion in order, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Jones. Public participation in the substitute motion?
Good evening. My name is Iona Holloway, and I'm a member of the Insurance Committee. And I had a family emergency, that's why I couldn't be here for the first audience participation. Even though I was in New Orleans at Touro Hospital, I was driving like flying, low flying. I've been a member of the Insurance Committee for 26 years. And never before in the history of the Insurance Committee has the committee not come out and recommended to the board an insurance plan. Never. This time it got, to borrow a phrase from Ms. Ann Thatcher, it got smoke and mirrors. Everyone was confused. We didn't know what we were talking about.
I put you out of order. It was Don Jean.
Mr. Gendron was the, okay, I'll accept that. I'll accept that. Just let me finish my statement. It got confused, and maybe we should have taken a recess and talked about it. If Mr. Boughton had come to me and explained to me about the other plan, maybe we wouldn't be in this spot we're in now. But we are here now, and my goal as a member of the Insurance Committee, never forgetting my charge, was to get the best plan for the employees that we could get using the funds that we had. The employees gave up a lot to help the board, and I keep hearing about how we getting beat up, it's for the children. Well, we gave 4 working days to help balance the budget. 4. We made 2 proposals to the administration to ask the board to give up some of their money, but it never happened. We don't want to tax the employees again with an insurance plan that would not be beneficial to them. We came from that spot of having a health insurance plan that the support people couldn't use because we couldn't afford to go to the doctor. We couldn't afford, and thank God for Charity Hospital, but it's no longer exists. My wish is that when a decision is made tonight, and I know all of you are going to make a decision, that it is in the best interest of the employees and also the board, because the employees are very much aware of the cost of health insurance. Also, Mr. Boughton, if it's going to cost people to lose their jobs, what about attrition? I know some people are retiring. They're at the high end of the salary schedule. So we attrit. We don't have to hire all those people back. They attrit. None of that was discussed with the committee. And I'm going to take my seat before I say something that I will spend the rest of my life trying to apologize for. I'm just saying, as a member of the insurance committee, I've always had the interests of the employees at heart with an eye on the budget.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other public participation? Not board members? Either substitute motion, original
Yes.
motion? Sanders?
I guess I agree with Ms. Holloway in terms of I was hoping that the committee would make a decision and this would be an easier fix for the board to make a decision to simplify the process. Without the employees, we can't educate children. We have to, in a sense, take care of the employees as well as the children. They're a big part of the system. I think it was Mr. Jack who said the people in terms of support workers. Ms. Holloway alluded to the support workers who are at the lower end of the totem pole in terms of salary. I have to be concerned about them as well as the children that we do educate. If you look at the whole spectrum of things, top of the salary schedule from the superintendent all the way down to custodial or cafeteria workers who are at the bottom of the salary schedule making roughly $22,000 a year, their paycheck from bankruptcy. To go to a $2,500 maximum that may not be in a savings account that they even have. You may look at me and say, hey, Patrick, you can afford it. Yeah, probably I can. But I have to be concerned about those who can't. I also agree with the attrition portion of it in terms of for people that may be retiring. We don't know at this point, just like the first committee meeting talked about what's the increase going to be next year. Well, I can't worry about next year right now. I have to worry about what's going on this year for January 1 in terms of health insurance. With that in mind, with all those things said, I have to support the 7NMP plan for the benefit of those people at the lower end of the spectrum. Once again, those people could be a paycheck away from bankruptcy, a paycheck away from being homeless. When you have to come up with $2,500 over the course of a year or the whatever the out-of-pocket deductible is, your credit is screwed. Some of you have never experienced that, whereas we as board members, we're looking out for the best interest of the system. Well, we call it a $500,000 increase in terms of what we were paying versus that plan is really, what we're presently paying is $8.4 million worth of insurance, correct, Mr. Boughton? Yes. So this is only a $200,000 increase over what we paid last year?
9.6?
Correct. 165 is written here, 168,000. Will it bankrupt us more than we're bankrupt already? Well, you know what, and you're right, it's a tough decision, and today, I have to make a decision today. So the decision today is to go with that particular plan. That's my
I would
position.
like to comment.
Thank you.
As far as the two plans, one plan does save $165,000. Yeah, this plan that we talking about costs, I'm sorry, what costs us $165,000. It would certainly be beneficial, but I promise you, this will hurt us next year. This will automatic 19%, 20% if we adopt the plan, a substitute plan. This will be automatic when, as far as I can book. If you want to take it right now and put up to 165,000, and next year take the beating, and have a beating done in a number of areas. The plan that we're looking at, option 27, which is basically the M6J, would save us approximately $651. I would be in favor of a substitute. We can put that in escrow. I hadn't thought about that, Mr. Sanders. I think it's a great idea. If we put that in escrow to handle any type of increase for next year. But I know it's a hardship. There's one other option, and I know the SJE does not want to hear this, but you know, we're paying 97% of a single plan, 85% family plan, and 79% of plan plus one. There are very slight decreases in all if we go with these plans as far as the monthly payments. If we want to renegotiate the rates, I promise you, had we renegotiated the rates last year and lowered that figure from 97, 85, and 79, I guarantee you, and as a man sitting in the audience will tell you, probably look at a 0% increase had we adjusted those monthly figures or the portion of the union contract that we're locked in. And we're locked into this, 97, 85, and 79. Whatever, like somebody says, how much will it change? It doesn't make a difference. You choose plan Z. It's still 97, 85, and 79. And I am the one who said that, Mr. Byers. We're going to go from 165 plus to 288 minus. And at this particular time, I've got to go with the minus. I know it's a hardship on our employees. If you want to look at renegotiate the rates, I will go with option that says the 165. Union is willing to lower that rate somewhat, I will go with that option. Right now, at 165, we just can't afford it. And you know, last time we had a rate increase, we absorbed it. I think that, if Cheryl correct me on that, I think the time before that, we pretty much absorbed it there too. So we're absorbed, and it wasn't put on our employees. And I know I love Maria Jackson. I've known her for a long, long time, and I understand the hardship. When you're sick, you need medical attention, and we certainly want her to receive medical attention. It's very, very important. Healthy employee works. But I just wanted those numbers out and figure it out. Any other discussion? Trish?
Look at the cost. $600 difference. It makes a lot of difference. We have to determine who is going to be going, but pay them off. Another thing we have to also look at, we are giving our employees a plan, even if we choose option 27 or M6, it's costing this board approximately $8,500 a year. This is what we basically are giving our employees. So if they're saying they're only making, say, $20-some-odd thousand, add this in, they're up at $30,000 just because of this insurance plan that we're giving them. Days ago, we called a few other parishes to find out they don't give their employees anywhere near what we're doing right now. My fear is next year we're going to come back, we won't have the money to even give them M6J. If there's no money, how can we pay them next year or give them an insurance policy, which basically from what I've had in the past, this is a Cadillac policy with M6J. was, I remember having policies where we paid 80% for everything. Now, this 80% is negotiated, and if any of you are looking at some of the stuff you've been getting from Blue Cross, or I have Medicare, look at what is negotiated from the hospital. A lot of those procedures don't cost that very much. We're only paying 20% of that. If you have to look at the cost of the entire thing, it's outrageous. They bargain for us. And they save us a lot of money. So I can't go for the more expensive. I'd love to. As you know, I've always worked for my employees. In this case, it was cost prohibitive. I'm very sorry.
Mr. Keller, I got a question. If I know at the last year, you pretty much contacted everyone that had a contract with us and asked them to do a 10% reduction. Did Blue Cross do that last year?
We asked Blue Cross the 10%, and they brought a plan to the table that reduced the rates by 10%, but it came with a reduction in benefits, and the insurance committee rejected it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And if we were reducing health costs, are we planning on pretty much looking at everything that we have in the parish and reduce those costs that we have right now? Because yes. I know we were in a deficit, but if you pass every day on the weekend, you still have teachers that's doing in-service. Do we plan on cutting those costs also?
Well, those teachers that are doing in-service are covered by federal money.
Mm-hmm.
And probably next year, because we're losing federal money, you're going to see less teacher in-service, but it's not costing the board anything, though, the in-services.
Oh. And to the presenter, does your plan offer, if they would join a health club, benefits? If they would join a health club, is that a reduction to their policies?
No, what we offer are health. You're talking about a gym, like
yes.
a YMCA or such. We offer discounts. We contract with national health facilities, and they would get a discount if they signed up. So, it could range anywhere from 10 to 20% of their monthly cost. If they're paying $100 a month, it could be $80 or $90 a month. So we offer a discount.
Excuse me, while you're there, and I'm trying not to make this discussion as long as it is, but then again, it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Wellness programs.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at numbers. All of our schools are equipped with nurses. In terms of wellness programs, in terms of keeping costs down, in terms of health benefits, blood pressure check, diabetes check, things of this nature. Can your company come in and do something in terms of wellness programs to assist us in keeping costs down in terms of basically what you pay out?
Right.
Because that's basically what this is all surrounded by, what you pay out. Yeah. Basically what you take in, and you're trying to keep costs down based on exactly what you take in, keep costs down around 80%, roughly. I mean, because that's the way you make your profit.
Yeah.
So talk to me about wellness programs that's possible for you to come in and assist our nurses in wellness programs for our employees, or your company coming in to do wellness programs.
Absolutely.
To offset that large percentage of cost that would go out to prevent, basically a preventive maintenance program.
Right. We would love that opportunity. We start off, and I have actually a couple opportunities that we would offer. Okay. First, we have our local medical director that lives in the New Orleans area, and we would have her work directly with your nurses for education, for opportunities, any on-site services that they provide. That's just kind of the very initial part. Through our process, we offer upfront the opportunity for anyone in the health plan to submit a health risk assessment. Okay, and what that means, that could be paper, that could be through the phone, that could be through the website. It's a summary of, it takes about 10 minutes, and it offers 50 questions, and it basically identifies areas of risk or areas where people already have a chronic condition. That starts kind of the process of having all of our programs, whether it be a disease management or a wellness program, to identify someone that may have their body mass index or BMI at 30, and they're 5'9", and their body mass index should be at a 22. So we would have that information that they've entered. It's also entered into our systems whether they go to a wellness visit, which is part of the coverage that you would be offered, where they would get that information logged from the doctor that they visited, and that information would get shared with us. So once we get that information, we will have a proactive outreach to that individual at that level and work out a plan to help them get to an acceptable plan, because we still have to have the member engaged with us, but to work on working out or going to a gym that we have a discount with and getting their body mass index down to a level that hopefully adds years onto their life. So we continually look at all of the claims that come in once you utilize your benefits. We're looking at opportunities to cut costs, where you might have a pharmacy or a prescription that comes in and our systems identify that, well, wow, this could be an opportunity to split a pill. And it might not be for everyone. Retirees in a lot of cases won't want to do that, and we won't call them because we've already been through that process. But again, we would outreach to that member. And then we also have our local team that will come out and we will do health fairs. So we'll educate all the members. If you want to do it throughout the district, we will do that as well. And just provide education. It really starts with education and awareness. Once you get that and you can create that type of just interest, okay, you have to relate to that individual, what's important to them. Then we'll begin to provide really engagement. The member will start to understand how they're going to get their wellness visit, or at least get their wellness visit. And then that'll lead to certainly the preventative care services that we provide through this program.
One other question. Can you talk to, briefly, I guess, since everybody's looking, can you talk about trends, cost trends?
Yeah.
Because we're here talking about the possibility of what the cost is going to be. There's just a natural cost trend that's going to happen, and it's a nationwide deal. That's something that's uncontrollable.
Right.
So we may be hit with at least a 12% increase based on whatever the trend is for this particular time.
Right.
Can you
whatever, when you look at the industry, no matter what carrier you go to, medical trend is historically at this time 9 to 12%. Okay, that's just medical trend. Okay, the cost of care that increases. The opportunity here is that your claims, your process, your plan is 100% experience rated, meaning there's no manual adjustment that we're going to do. So when you have your claim activity occur in 2011, we take your claims experience, okay, and we look at those large claims that have hit a certain what we call a pooling level, okay, and we charge an administration cost for that. It's already in your price. We take those large claims out, we add the medical trend in, okay, and then at that point is what your renewal is. So it's again, it's a process. It's public. We've shared that, and our goal, and you hit it spot on. Our goal is to work with you enough throughout the year to provide better care, okay, at a lower cost, and we can do that. We do that for over 1 million members that I'm responsible for in the 3 states, and our goal is to get that lower than what trend might even be. So that was a good point.
Okay. And Mr. Wise, would in terms of taking, if your plan should pass,
yes, sir,
taking that savings and putting to a health savings account to offset.
I think it's a completely reasonable idea.
It's your motion, so
we need to look at it. I have no problem.
No, I'm not asking him to, but just to consider it.
One thing that we do overlook, I think, in both substitution and the original, never identify the carrier. Maybe it's understood that we put in a United Healthcare plan, such and such.
Good point.
I don't think.
Yeah, I have no problem. I can't say yes or no immediately, but it's well worth considering. Absolutely. Yeah.
And the reason why I asked that question, because this money would be lumped back into the general fund, probably to offset some costs that some federal funds were going to lose in terms of other things that we may have to look into of eliminating, but this protects the board in
Mr.
itself.
LeBlanc, I know we have a substitute motion and we have a motion. Can we make a substitute motion to the original motion, even though we got a substitute motion?
You can only make 2 substitute
No,
motions.
but I mean, he's got a substitute.
There's a
Can he
motion
make an
and a
amendment?
substitute.
I'm sorry, can he make an amendment? Because if we go ready to vote, we're gonna jump one to the other. And,
You need to vote on your substitute motion first.
right.
And if it's rejected, can we then make a second substitute or amend the original
You
motion?
only have 1 motion left on the
Can
floor.
we do that now, or you got
No,
this
I
thing
think
in-
you'd have to vote on, I think you have to
Have
vote
to
on the
vote on
substitute
his
motion.
first, and then we can amend the
Mr.
original.
Wise, can I ask Mr. Wise a question right quick? We pretty much look like we're going at 2 policies, and the union wants the Cadillac. Looks like some of the board wants the Yugo. Have we ever tried to come and meet them in the middle? The policy that's in the middle.
I suggested that at the last meeting, and it was pointed out to me, and frankly, to me, it makes sense after it's pointed out to me. I went to Mr. Bowden and to the gentleman here from United Health and said, can't we just ease our way into this and reduce it 1.54 or 1.96 first? And they said, yeah, you can, but you get down to nickels and dimes when it comes to the effect it has on the employees. There's almost no difference in there unless you go to the emergency room. On one, it's going to cost $100 copay. On the other, it's going to be $200. Almost everything else is exactly the same.
Middle plan will not change. It still has that 2,000 and
Yeah.
2,000.
And so I came to, that was my first thought. There ought to be a middle ground in here.
All right, we'll have vote on the substitute motion. Would you please read the substitute motion, young lady? Stacy?
The substitute motion is to accept United Healthcare Plan 7NMP as our health insurance plan for the next year.
That was made by Ms. Jack, seconded by
Joan.
Joan. All right, roll call.
Mr. Jack?
Yes.
Mr. Burrow?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Franchez? No. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Wise?
No.
Baca?
No.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Mr. Trish? Dr. Keller?
No. Six
Five.
yeas.
5
yeas.
yeas.
The motion
nays.
failed. Now, I will allow an addendum, I guess, or amendment to that. I'll recognize you, Mr. Sanders.
Well, just wanted, back to the original motion.
Original motion, I'm talking
Just
about
that we would
motion.
take the savings from, just a moment.
The 288,000.
M6J, the $288,000,
$650.
$651, and place into, if it's okay with Mr. Wise.
What worries?
Wait. It doesn't make a difference whether he wants it or not. Yeah, I guess he's the original.
Yeah, he's a motion maker, so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just making a recommendation.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please do.
Just add one phrase, if at all possible, because we don't know what kind of shape we're going to be in next year. If this is going to protect
I'm scared of that
jobs-
phrase.
What would you-
Well, in that case, I'll second your motion,
No, you can't
your
second.
amendment.
I'm just,
Just add an amendment
Yeah,
to
just
it.
add it
Do
to
you
it.
accept
That's
that
fine.
amendment
Yes,
to your
sir.
motion?
Yes, sir, I will.
Without all that other stuff?
Yes, sir,
All
I
right.
will.
And we'll vote on the motion as amended, basically the same thing that we adopt United Healthcare Plan,
M6J.
MJ?
7M.
M6J.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With, and that the savings from this plan be put into escrow for
Future costs
future costs
of health
on an
insurance.
increase in
Offset
insurance.
future increases.
Offset any future increases in insurance.
Yeah.
If there are no future increases in insurance, then
It grows.
we'll worry about that.
Well, yeah,
We'll
we'll
worry
just
about that. We'll
leave
worry
that
about it.
alone.
Let's see what happens. Let's see if, all right. The motion is order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Burrow?
No.
Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Franchez?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Baca?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Mr. Trish? Dr. Keller?
Yes.
9 yeas, 2.
9 yeas and 2 nays. All right, Mr. Joe, you had 2 agents that you turned this plan over to, is that right, or one? Who did you, who are 2 carriers, I don't know what you call?
We issued one quote, which you have with the 27 options, to 2 agents of record. One was John Miette, and the second was Wayne Frizing.
Pleasure of the board in reference to that?
May I make a motion?
Yes, sir.
What's the recommendation of the?
What's his recommendation?
Wait, his recommendation is that plan.
We decide.
That we, yeah, basically, we have to decide on,
They've punted it to us.
that the board will decide on, who will basically be the administrator of the plan.
Yeah.
What's the recommendation?
My recommendation?
No, what's the recommendation of the administration? Oh, no, I know Mr. Wise said previously that we weren't going to micromanage, so we're going to be start taking everything to the forefront.
And so I think you'll like this, Mr. Burrell. My motion is that United Health should decide who is its own agent. It's not our business to do that.
That's a second on that motion. I'll
Second that motion.
Let them arm wrestle over it. It ain't our business.
Substitute motion.
I'll open this for public participation. This is a very important.
Would I count as public?
Yeah, you public.
Is that right?
Right now, until we sign the contract.
Okay, understood, and I appreciate the opportunity with the vote that you just took prior on the plan. So, from United Healthcare's point of view, we couple of things. One, it is very important for us to continue to utilize the broker distribution model. We do not sell direct. Through our agent, we do not have in what I would consider a overhead of a sales force to administer that. There is absolute value in having a broker manage your health plan. The second thing is, it is not my responsibility, or is it really appropriate for me to determine who the best agent of record is for your health plan? And the reason why I say that is because both brokers have unique value that they can provide your plan. Okay, both are agents that have worked with United Healthcare in the past. Both are familiar with our process. Okay, but we have never picked a broker of record for any of our customers.
With all due respect, sir, the agent does not represent us. He represents they represent you.
They're going to be managing.
Finish, please.
Go right ahead.
You spoke
Absolutely.
your piece.
Yeah.
It is not up to us to decide who sells your product any more than it's up to us to decide who sells Ford's products or General Motors products. If you have no preference, flip a coin. It makes no difference. It is not our decision to make. And if we start getting involved in picking the person who's going to represent you, then he or she or they, it becomes political.
We're in public participation. Mr. Joe, you may sit down now.
Okay, thank you.
That's right. Let him
Ms.
decide.
Iona, you want to be the public?
Iona Holloway, school employee and a member of the insurance committee for 26 years. This board and past boards have never chosen an agent of record.
Amen.
This board and other boards have never chosen an agent of record. Your decision was based on who was the best person to administer the policy for the employees. That's what your decisions were made on. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job.
I agree with you.
So I guess you can't tell insurance man how to do his job.
There's a motion on the floor.
She's basically saying that.
Ms. Holloway and I agree on something.
All right, gentlemen, you all ready? What was the motion?
Motion was for United Healthcare to decide who would be the agent of record.
I have a substitute motion.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Burrow.
Yeah, Mr. Sanders has
Well, let me ask a question, because, well, it went from public participation. Should it go to the board before I make it public?
Well, I'm the public, anyone else public participation? You know, Mr. Sanders, it's time to make a decision.
Okay, I mean, that's fine, that's cool.
Go ahead. Public right now?
Yeah, public.
Do you have a dog in this hunt, sir?
Yes, sir.
There's two.
You know, I guess I go back to Dawes Armstrong. We've never had an agent of record, but is there an agent who's going to administer the plan that we have? I mean, do we call it an agent of record, or we have to call it an agent of record, or
No.
agent who's going to administer our plan for
An agent of record represents
I
us.
call it an administrator of the plan.
administer the plan?
I don't think I want to call it an agent of record.
But that's the terminology that we've been using, so, in terms of the phrase, so
An agent of record is completely different, yes. Sir.
Okay, so I would like to make a substitute motion to have an agent to administer our plan. An agent, that, I'd like to make a motion.
The agent would be the producer of record. In past, we signed off as had an agent of record in the past.
Not, well, I've been in
We haven't
existence.
appointed that agent of record. The board did have an agent of record.
Okay, that's fine. A motion for an administrator of the health plan.
But do you want for us to make that selection?
Yeah, I'd like for us to make that selection.
Oh, I can make a motion?
Wait. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Since I've been on this board, I have,
We have a motion right now. You want to make a substitute?
I want to make a substitute motion.
Yeah.
I haven't had any
I don't have
any problems with Mr. Forsan since I've been on the board, insurance, and since I would just like to make a motion that we stay with the provider that we have right now, who's been implementing insurance.
That's your motion?
Yes, I want to keep Mr. Forsan as the agent of record.
All right. You have a second to that?
I'll second that motion. That's correct.
All right. May I relinquish?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, relinquish.
Sure, you may.
I would like to make a substitute. We nominate Mr. John Miet as agent. Second that motion? Second. So where we at, Tom?
Guess we on you now.
No, not on me.
We have to vote on you, on your motion.
Second substitute motion
John
first.
Miet.
Substitute motion, original motion.
John Miet.
Okay.
Can I make a
Ms. Stacy, can you read the motion that we're about to vote on?
You have to have discussion on the motion.
The motion made by Dr. Keller, but I don't know who's second. Mr. Ori, seconded by Mr. Ori, is to name John Miet as the agent to administer our health.
And we're presently waiting on Mr. Jones to return. Mr. Jack would like to speak. Mr. Jack?
I'd just like to make a statement that I've been wrestling with this, pondered, called my attorney before attempting to vote this because I've had some allegations that came up upon me that I was very offended by. This board, since I've been on it, I can never recall, as it has been said earlier, where this board had to appoint an agent. I've never been a part politicking or pushing for any agent for any reason. I'm appalled, I'm disturbed, and I'm upset about those allegations, which was why I called and spoke to my attorney and the board attorney for even voting, because it was not a big deal to me, nor will it be a big deal to me. I have never received anything from any agent, nor will I try to receive anything from any agent, but I will vote because I was elected to represent the people, and I will vote my conscience. I have always voted my conscience and voted with heart and the representation of the people who elected me. And I just like the statement to be known that before you go with these false allegations, before anybody go with these false allegations, they need to know what they're talking about. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Sanders, can Mr. Jack vote last and only vote if he's the deciding vote? Can we bypass Mr. Jack, let him vote only if he's the deciding vote? Mr. Mr. LeBlanc.
Not without waiving our policy.
Hmm?
Yeah. He wants to allow Mr. Jack to wait to vote last.
Can Mr. Jack not vote in order and let him vote last?
That's a policy decision, a board decision.
I don't even know there's a policy in terms of which way we vote or which order.
So is there a policy in terms of voting? Do we have to vote in order?
No.
Well, we can do it with the lights, too.
Chairperson,
You know.
we've
Dr.
always
Keller.
voted in, this board has voted for the last 50 years in order of school districts, with the exception that the board president is always
Let's use the lights, please.
Yeah, please.
All right.
The presentation.
Okay, what,
Yeah, are we going to, each of the agents have presentations if you want to.
I mean, I'm not aware.
okay. Right is left is no.
Is the pleasure of the board let's find out what the pleasure of the board is in terms of allowing the agents to do a presentation that's prepared.
Call for question. Call for question.
Question on the table.
May I make a suggestion?
Suggestion, Mr. Wise.
This is not a decision that has to be made tonight.
Call for question. We have to vote on the call for question.
I move we table this issue until the first
Call for
meeting in
question. We have to
January.
vote on the call for question.
Motion to table. Motion question. Motion to table. Motion confused. Motion to table.
There's a motion. The first motion. On
First
the table.
motion is the question. First motion.
Motion
Question.
is to call for a question. It
Question.
needs
Is there a second
Which
to
is the
that?
higher precedence? Which is the higher
He
precedence?
made his motion to
Call for
a question. He
question.
made a motion to call for a question. He needs a second on that motion.
Is there a second to that motion to call for question? Second by Mr. Jack.
And you vote on it. The question can't be made in the middle. I thought the discussion was over. Patrick had already made a question.
He didn't have the, I don't think he had the
discussion
floor.
was
Coming
finished.
forward. You can't question in the middle of. No, you're right. I agree with you, but I thought the discussion was over on
The
the.
discussion was over, and then it became
Yes.
the pleasure of the board.
I made a
as to
call
whether
for
or not
question.
the
Now we have to
presentation-
vote on the call for question. And we're voting on Mr. Keller's motion to present Mr. John Millett as the
substitute.
agent of record, right?
Well,
Right.
So we're gonna vote on Mr. Keller's motion.
We need a
to vote
ruling
on
from
question.
the
Vote on
chair
your-
on an issue
Vote on the
here.
motion for a question first. There's a second to the motion for a call
Motion
for
by
a
Mr.
question.
Burrows, second
need
by
to-
Mr. Jack in terms
you
of
vote
call
on
for
it.
question.
Right.
Well, we haven't, point of information, we haven't really finished the discussion.
Well, and that's the issue. Is his motion in order? Is the discussion still going on?
I think the
And that's
motion-
only a ruling the chair can
The
make.
question is,
I think the motion's in order on the motion to call for a question. With a second, you vote on that motion.
Legal has advised us that the motion is in order.
Okay.
There's a motion by Mr. Jack. Motion by Mr. Burrows, second by Mr. Jack. Call for question. Roll call, please. Call.
Does not decide the motion. It only calls
for
for
the
a
end
vote
of
on the
discussion. Correct. And just another point of clarification, call for question ends all discussion at this.
Mr. Jack,
Voting on the
Whether
call
or
for
not to
question.
end discussion. That's all we're voting on, whether or not to end discussion and take a vote.
Mr. Burrow,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Mr. Franchez,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Absolutely.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Wise,
No.
sorry, Mr. Baca,
Yes.
Mr. Ori,
No.
Trish, Dr. Keller.
No.
9 yeas, 3 nays.
9 yeas, 3 nays. Motion passes. Call for question. At this point, we're going to vote on the second substitute motion by Dr. Keller.
Right, right.
9 and 2.
I'm sorry, 8.
8 and 3.
8 and
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc.
Right now we're
There's 3 no.
8 and 3, that's what he said.
8.
8 and 3.
Yeah. Now, which motion we voting on now?
Second substitute motion by Dr. Keller is?
Made by Dr. Keller, seconded by Mr. Ori, to name John Miet as the agent to administer our health plan.
And now we vote.
Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Burrow?
No.
Sanders?
No.
Mr. Franchez? No. Mr. Jones?
Abstain.
Mr. Johnson?
Abstain.
Johnson? Mr. Wise?
I abstain.
Mr. Baca?
No.
Mr. Ori?
No.
Trish? And Dr. Keller.
Yes.
We have 2 yeas, 6 nays, 3 abstentions.
2 yeas, 6 nays, 3 abstentions. Fails. First substitute motion is?
The motion by Mr. Burrow, seconded by Ms. Sanders. Stay with the current provider, Mr. Wayne Forsang, that has been administering our plan.
Roll call, please.
I asked Mr. Sanders should ask.
Those are made as we go along.
Mr. Jack?
Yes.
Mr. Burrow?
Yes.
Mr. Franchez?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Abstain.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Wise?
Abstain.
Baca?
Yes.
Mr. Ori? Trish? Dr. Keller?
Yes.
And Mr. Sanders.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 nay, 2 abstentions.
8 yeas, 1 nay, 2 abstentions. Motion carries.
I think, Mr. Joe, I think in order, I think we're gonna need to start doing open enrollment. Is that what we need to do? Tomorrow? So,
Yep. So
I'm
we,
sorry, Mr. Pugh, because I need to have you here.
Okay. Yes, would you care to explain open enrollment, sir?
yeah, well, what we'll do, first, thank you very much for the opportunity with United Healthcare, and since you've elected the agent, we'll begin to work with Mr. Frazane, and we'll start tomorrow. We'll have to lay out the census, all the population, and we'll get that loaded to our process and begin the enrollment period. So we'll be flexible, and however you want to, location, times, to get those enrollment meetings going.
Thank you, sir. You'll deal with that, Mr. Forsang, and our administration.
That is correct.
In terms of dealing with that.
We will, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Now we're under old business. Item A, which was Dr. Keller's
Calendar.
request approval for school board meeting calendar, moved by Mr. Jones. Is there a second to that? Second by Mr. Barker. Any opposition to that motion?
Change it later.
Being
The meeting's all right at what?
Well, yeah, there was 2 changes that were made, Stacy.
changes are included. Okay. There are nine yeas, 2 absent. Motion carries. New business, Mr. Bowden, motion for executive session.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Barker, second by Mr. Jones. Motion to go back in regular session. Moved by Mr. Trish, second by Mr. Johnson. By Mr. Trish, second by Mr. Johnson. Go back in the regular session. Item 9C, Mr. Lloyd LeBlanc, any legal update? Administrative matters, thank you. Any committee reports? Board-related items of interest?
Yes, 2.
Mr. Burrell?
Yes. First one, I've been getting a lot of calls in which some board members have about the East St. John coaching position. I would like to ask the administration just to do like they did previously and get together and get a committee together, see about advertising and making a position available and see how many candidates we're going to get. So I'd like to ask the administration to do that.
Okay.
All right. And the second thing, well, some people may have seen what happened at Lutcher High School about the stadium. I just want to make the recommendation or offer them that if they win this Friday and they need a facility, that they can use East St. John facility to play their home game.
I have already talked to
Okay.
Right.
All right. Thanks.
already done.
Okay.
Any other items of interest? Motion for adjournment? Blackham, Mr. Sanchez?
You're watching WPST, St. John the Baptist Parish Public School Television. Psst, check it out.